Finally, UPS reporting results this morning, topping quarterly profit estimates, raising its full-year adjusted operating margin forecast as volume growth rebounds. This marks the first time in nearly 2 years that UPS posted year-over-year revenue and profit gains. The stock now up just about 5%, had been up about 10% earlier today, marking its biggest one-day gain since February of 2022. The street obviously very excited by what they heard from UPS this morning. Let's talk about that and more with UPS CFO Brian Dykes. Brian, it's great to have you here on Yahoo Finance. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us this morning. So let's talk about the most recent quarter. We're seeing some of that excitement play out on the street. What does it tell us just about whether or not maybe last quarter was the bottom for UPS?
Well, first, thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I think we said at the end of the second quarter that we had turned the corner and we're returning to both revenue and profit growth. And that's what we showed in the third quarter. And it really is the outcome of a lot of effort to focus on revenue quality and growing the business and the segments that really matter to us. So it's a great outcome for us.
At the top of the call, your CEO, Carol Tomé, was talking a little bit about sales growth slowing in the U.S. over the course of the quarter, but saying the macro environment did not prevent broader growth. When you look ahead, how does that not lead to any potential concern moving forward? How are you thinking about the potential negative impact the macro environment could have and how to adjust around that?
Well, and I think it's a great point. And what we are seeing is when we set out an update to our guidance in July, we have seen some pullback in our customers' expectations for peak season deliveries since July. Now, it's still going to be growth year over year, but we have a very compressed peak. You know, we've gone from the longest possible shipping window between Thanksgiving and Christmas to what we'll have this year is the shortest possible shipping window. And I think as customers are calibrating how they're going to plan their demand and shipping patterns for that, we've seen those forecasts come in a little bit.
Brian, when you take a look at UPS now onboarding the USPS Air Cargo business, you took over that from FedEx at the end of September. What can you tell us just about in terms of how this is progressing and how quickly you expect that to become profitable?
Oh, yeah. So absolutely. The onboarding has gone tremendous. But I'll tell you, it's a huge effort. You know, we're taking on nearly 300 million cubic feet of cargo in a very short span of time. And so we did build up our network as we went through the third quarter to handle that. As of October 1st, that's fully transitioned. It's been a great transition both with the UPS team and the USPS team. We just had a peak review yesterday with the USPS, and we're looking forward to the opportunities that it creates. We expect this business will be an attractive margin going forward now that we fully onboarded it.
Looking ahead as well, I am curious about the holiday season, which is, of course, critical to the business. We have a very short holiday season this year. The days between Thanksgiving and Christmas are smaller than typically occurs in terms of the shopping days available. How are you thinking about that?
Well, so peak is our Super Bowl around here. So, you know, UPS starts planning at peak in February, and we are starting to ramp up our staffing to be able to support our customers during what will be a short holiday season. But we continue to invest in technology that allows us to, one, hire faster and more efficiently, allow those resources to be more efficiently, and we've altered the model. So we'll be using more helpers, more part-time drivers to help manage the flex up and down, as well as the technology that we use within our hubs. We now flow 63% of our volume through automated hubs that allows us to very dynamically reroute volume around weather events or centers that get overloaded so that we can manage the volume effectively and deliver what we think will be the 7th consecutive #1 service peak in the industry.
Brian, many investors, shareholders alike, take a look at your earnings print and really use it as what it's telling us more broadly speaking about the macro economy. And going back to the point maybe that Maddie made before, I guess, are you at all worried that we could see a slowdown here in the macro economy? And I guess how would you then further adjust maybe some of those timelines or some of your guidance as a result?
Yeah, so I think there's the macro forecast for holiday sales are all over the board, right? It's anywhere from 2% to 11% for what economists think. And unfortunately, we don't have the ability to be an economist. We have to plan for the volume. So what we think is happening is that, you know, consumer generally is still strong, but the retailers are trying to figure out how they're going to manage this compressed holiday season. And many of them believe that because it's so compressed that more consumers will go to the store. That's adjusting their shipping patterns. Now, what we do at UPS is we make sure that we've got the variability in our staffing and our capacity to handle it if they do need more. But we staff to what we think is going to be the real outcome for shipping patterns through December.
You know, Brian, a lot of people, and we were talking to your team getting ready for this interview, and they brought up a great point that a lot of people, when they think about UPS, they more so think about the retail consumer aspect, but you're very heavily exposed, obviously, in the B2B side of the business. So I'm curious, are you at all seeing any sort of discrepancies or any sort of differences in the performance of the consumer side versus what you're seeing on the B2B side?
So, our B2B business has been lagging as we've been coming out through this year of recovering from the contract. And we actually saw B2B in the U.S. go positive in the third quarter. And particularly our SMB B2B business grew by 3.8%. Now, that's higher than the market forecast, but it's really built on capabilities that we've launched. We've launched new products. We've launched RFID technology, things that are enabling us to win more and win new in the B2B segment. I would also say internationally, we're seeing B2B growth. Our international business is now growing in 13 of our top export countries. All regions grew revenue internationally, and we're winning in healthcare and high tech that's driving air business both domestically and internationally.
Yeah, you mentioned healthcare, so I want to jump in on that because I know you think of that as a growth area moving forward. What do you think is UPS's competitive advantage in that space?
So look, healthcare supply chains are incredibly complex, right? And that's where UPS is at its best. It allows us to leverage the multiple asset verticals that we have. So if you think about healthcare shipments that are manufactured in China, in India, that need to be flown to the US and go through customs brokerage, stored in a temperature-controlled warehouse, packed in temperature-controlled shipping, and then delivered to pharmacies and households. All that has to be wrapped in a quality assurance system that allows you to have end-to-end visibility and make sure that those drugs are delivered safe and on time. That's where UPS is at its best. It allows us to leverage the multiple pieces of our business at scale to deliver very, very complex supply chains.
All right, Brian Dykes, we got to leave it there, but really appreciate you joining us on the heels of those earnings results. Thank you so much.
Thank you.